Alright, y'all. Start to go live. Give everybody a chance to come in and grab a seat. Another exciting day at the Demon's Tea Room. Give everybody a chance to come on in and sit down and grab a drink. Mr. Kyle, Mr. Ricky Bobby. What's up, Rachel? Welcome, welcome, welcome again, y'all. Come in, have a seat. Grab yourself a drink. Turn the lights down low, get that fire going, because tonight might get a little creepy. I like creepy. What's up, Chris, James, Casey? Afternoon. Miss Sabrina, an honor as always. Mary Beth, Mr. Jacob. My beautiful daughter, Dusty. Much love, baby. Much love. Hola, ¿cómo esto? I am good. Give everybody a chance to come in. It's my sister Tiffany. Come in, y'all. Sit down. Grab a drink. Cuddle up around the fire. Leanne, welcome, y'all, welcome. I need to figure out some way to come up with a cool little intro music and that kind of stuff, but that is way above my tech level. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. My tech level is putting the CD in the Xbox One and pushing the power button. Danny, welcome. Miss Casey, you are welcome. Thank you guys for coming and listening to me rant about the paranormal for 20 to 40 minutes every day. That's how I can tell it's the apocalypse. People are willing to sit down and listen to me. Welcome, Caitlin. Bonehead Larry, love the name. Yes, Tiff, we did finally. Apparently, Facebook has the Corona-19 virus as well, because about an hour later, poof, all the videos came back. And there was multiple people who were sending me messages that they had lost their videos as well. So, apparently, Facebook is having some issues with the immense amount of activity they have going on, some updates they did. Catalina, welcome. Oh, she called them lectures. I feel so important, like I should be at a podium. Lawrence, welcome, y'all. Welcome. Give people just a couple minutes, another minute or two to come in. We're going to get started this afternoon. Hello, Tyra. How are you? All right, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we got a pretty good amount of people inside of the tea room right now. Hope you guys got a good seat. Grabbed y'all something to drink. Take a little last sippy off of mine real quick. My high-octane diet Mountain Dew. All right, y'all. Next door neighbors' puppies. So today, y'all, we are going to talk phantom transportation here in the city of New Orleans. So pull up a chair, get cozy to the fire. Let's talk about some of the other things you might have to dodge and dash walking around the city streets in New Orleans late at night into the early hours of the morning. So tonight we're going to be talking phantom buses, streetcars, taxicab, lore and legends. Keep in mind, y'all, when we talk about our streetcars here in the city of New Orleans, here in the city of New Orleans, we have the largest active streetcar line in the continental United States. We even have more track than San Francisco. And they're putting in more track. So, our streetcar lines have been here since the inception of the city. Now, our original transportation group, now our buses and our streetcars are run by the same organization, same city department. But back in the day, they were run by NOPSI, N-O-P-S-I, and it stands for New Orleans Public Service Incorporated, private organization. And the buses that they ran, today we have the modern style buses that most major cities have. You guys have seen them, singles and double length ones. But back in the day, 1940s, 1950s, we had what we call here basically what look like bullet buses. These were the silver, the quintessential, everybody take a drink, quintessential, Fallout style 1940s buses. Now, one of the stories that we hear a lot that gets repeated here in town is that on occasion a car accident will happen. And one that comes to mind, a gentleman got in a car accident right there at the intersection of Canal and City Park Boulevard, right there in the greater city of the dead. Now keep that area in mind because we're going to be talking a lot about that area this evening. And when people ran up to go help him, he kept saying, "Where'd the bus come from? Where'd the bus come from? Where'd the bus come from? Did you see that bus?" So the bus had come out of nowhere, engine screaming, all the lights on, and he swerved to avoid it, drove into a light pole. Now, there's no bus to be around. City bus hadn't stopped. Middle of the night, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And witnesses had also said they had heard what sounded like the engines of a bus revved up very, very high, like it was going really fast, coming towards the intersection. Never saw a bus. They gave this guy the, obligatory breath analyzer test. Wasn't drinking. Hadn't had a drink the entire night. So this happens a lot, where there's police reports of people saying that they got run off the road here in the city of New Orleans by buses they can't find. They'll go back to the people who run, the department that runs our buses and transportation here in the city, and they'll get the logs off of the buses for that particular area on the night in question. There's no bus anywhere around those intersections. Now, where it starts to get really creepy is on some of these buses. These have the old school. Now, like today we have the LED signs that shows you the bus destination, St. Charles, Uptown, wherever it's going. The old ones were the flip signs. And a lot of these buses that have been reported being seen had flip signs that says end of line, cemeteries. Now, it's not just vehicles and drivers who have run into these phantom buses. Pedestrians have as well. People have reported, especially once you keep in mind here in New Orleans, y'all, a lot of people, even if they own a private vehicle, not a lot of people use them. Because one, if you ever tried to park down the French Quarter, you understand our pain. We have these evil, dark demon entities that are released out of the pits of hell on a daily basis, called meter maids. And they like to walk around, they like to ticket everybody for everything. Alright, I'm not even going to get off on that, my blood pressure is going to go up. I got ticketed in my own driveway. Plus, it can be stupidly expensive to park in the quarter, especially if you park in the wrong place. If you're not paying attention to the signs up there, you will either get booted or you will get towed. So a lot of locals, if you don't need to drive, they don't. We have our streetcar line, we have our bus line. So a lot of people take city transportation in and around New Orleans. So there have been individuals who are veterans of the bus system here in the city of New Orleans my brother Don is one of them, have reported they'll go to be walking early in the morning, getting ready to head to wherever it is they're heading, work or anything like that, and will report seeing what looks like an old school late 1940s, early 1950s silver bullet bus sitting at the bus stop. And there's a couple of these people who have reported in the reports that we have that they start to walk towards the bus. All the lights are as bright as day. Nobody in the driver's seat. They say they thought has run through their head for a fraction of a second. Should I get on? And they say as soon as they get close to the bus, they get this overwhelming feeling that something's just not right. Something's wrong, that they're in danger. They back away. Doors close. Bus drives off. Still no driver. Bus drives off. Disappears into the darkness of the early morning hours of the quarter. So, do we have a phantom bus system that runs the lines here eternally in the city of New Orleans? I'll leave that up to you. But jumping over to our streetcars, I'd say, well, before we do that, let's back up for half a second. There's a story here I forgot. I'm getting old. And that is the bus stops themselves. Now, one story that comes to mind is over in the Lakeview area where Evie and I had our old house. And one of the bus stops over in the Lakeview area has had multiple reports at it. Now, a few years ago, there was a young woman, unfortunately, who had gone to wait for her morning bus. And during waiting for that bus, somebody came out of the dark, grabbed her, pulled her off into the bushes, and raped and murdered her. It wasn't until later that morning that somebody waiting for the bus noticed that there was a bag laying on the ground over by the bushes, and there were mandarin oranges all over the ground right there. And when he walked over to look, he found the young woman back dead in the bushes. Now, at that bus stop, from that time, that was probably 20 years ago, people report standing there late at night at the bus, or early in the morning at the bus, and especially female passengers who are waiting will report feeling this overwhelming feeling of dread and a feeling of sadness come over them. Now, what guys have reported at that same location is hearing the sounds of screams and having an overwhelming feeling of anger, that they're in danger, that something wants to hurt them. So, people have started in the past few years, before they go to the bus stop, they will take a mandarin orange and set it down there by the bus stop as basically an offering to this young lady to let her know that she's still in our prayers. Now, if you guys go drive around the Lakeview area, you see a bus stop with oranges around it, I'd leave those oranges alone because they're not for you. And you might not make it onto your bus if you take one. So keep your eyes out when you're out there around those bus stops. Now, jumping over to our streetcars. Our streetcars aren't exempt from paranormal activity, and they run around the clock. And what some of the operators of our streetcars, our conductors, have given stories of is that on the Uptown route up on St. Charles, that multiple conductors have reported seeing a young woman, looks like a student, very quietly sitting by herself in the middle of the streetcar. None of the conductors can recall seeing her get on the car. She just, all of a sudden, she's there. Car will run a couple stops. They look up in their mirror. She's not sitting there anymore. She must have got off. Keep in mind, you can get off out the front. You can also get off out the back. So it's not difficult to get off the streetcar without somebody seeing you. Where the story starts to get a little creepier is once that streetcar goes a couple more stops, that conductor will look back up in his rearview mirror, and she's sitting there again. Also been reported on our streetcars there on Canal that some of the conductors have reported seeing what looks like a husband and wife. They look like tourists. They're sitting there reading a map. And they don't ever acknowledge the conductor. Nobody's ever seen them get on the streetcar or get off the streetcar. So, as we talked about in an earlier episode, are we dealing with these? Are we dealing with a residual haunting? Or are we dealing with an intelligent haunting? Jury's still out on that one. Now, the other thing that gets reported a lot is over in, we've talked just a little bit about in some of our earlier episodes, the greater city of the dead. This is our cemetery area right there at the intersection of City Park Boulevard and Canal. This is where a huge portion of our cemeteries are located, as well as some of our larger cemeteries. This is where Charity Hospital Cemetery is located at. This is where the 150 acres of the Greenwood Cemetery is located. Metairie Lake Lawn Cemetery, where Millionaires Row is located, and reputedly one of the most haunted cemeteries in the city of New Orleans. This is also where St. Patrick's 1, 2, and 3 are located, as well as Gates of Prayer, the mortuary. These are all located in that area, that small little area, known as the Greater City of the Dead. Now, we have been told, and I've heard it from multiple taxi cab drivers, and now we're starting to hear it from the Uber drivers as well, is that there's a lot of the Uber and taxi drivers that will refuse to pick up fares right down there in that area late at night. Now, I know it's not uncommon to have the phantom rider stories as urban legends all across the country. And so this is where New Orleans has ours. That multiple taxi drivers as well as Uber drivers have reported picking up fares down there in the Greater City of the Dead, get their address, be talking as they're going, get to their drop-off point, go to look in the rearview mirror, and there ain't nobody there. So, keep in mind, there's a lot of unrested spirits in that general area, the Greater City of the Dead. That's where a lot of our mass pit graves are located. So you have a lot of energy out there that's not at rest, that's agitated. And to jump on that point just a little bit more, a story goes into the legend of Mad Mike. And he's right there at the intersection of Canal and City Park Boulevard. And right there at that intersection, you've got Charity Hospital Cemetery on one side. On the other, you've got the old abandoned Oddfellows Rest Cemetery, St. Patrick's Cemetery. So you are surrounded by cities of the dead. And the legend of Mad Mike is that Mad Mike used to right there at the intersection, right at the corner, right there by Oddfellows Rest Cemetery. There used to be a bus stop before they put in the new streetcar line and bus stop in the neutral ground over between Greenwood and trying to think of the name of the bar right there. Can't think of the name off the top of my brain right now, but it's sitting right there. It's the back side of St. Patrick's number 2. And that's where they put the train car and streetcar line. But originally, the bus stop was there at the intersection. And ladies late at night will report seeing a gentleman walking along, white t-shirt, pair of blue jeans, walking a white dog, backpack on. Didn't matter how cold it was outside. It could be 20 degrees out here and he's still wearing a white t-shirt and doesn't appear to be affected by the weather at all. And as he's walking, he's talking to himself. And when he gets close to the ladies who are sitting there waiting at the bus stop, he would always say something to the effect of, watch yourself. There's bad things in the night. There's bad things out there. Make sure you pay attention. And they would walk off and disappear into the darkness. That's the legend of Mad Mike there at the intersection. So, jump forward to last year. We're on a bus tour. Not our current tour company, but the one I worked for originally. And Evie was on the tour with me. We had taken our guests back into Charity Hospital Cemetery, and we had them back in the back area. And one of my guests got so freaked out because she punched me in the stomach as her arms flailed. She took me out. Well, she was having no part of things that go bump in the night, especially when they walk up and touch her on the shoulder. So Evie, being the heroine that she is, offered and said, hey, I can walk you back up to the bus if you want to be, and I'll sit with you. So this is what the lady wanted to do. She did not want to have any other part of being in the cemetery. So Evie walked her back up to the bus. Finished my tour. We're walking back to the bus. Keep in mind, y'all, I just found out about the legend of Mad Mike earlier that afternoon, doing research. I hadn't told Evie about the legend of Mad Mike. Keep that in mind. So I get my guests back onto the bus, and we complete our tour. We get them back to our drop-off location, get them dropped off. And Evie's telling me the story that she brought these two young ladies back to the bus and had them sitting on the bus. And as they were getting right up close to the bus, she noticed that a guy was walking down the road towards her. So it kind of had a weird feeling to him. Something just wasn't right. Something just out of place. I said, okay. Did he say anything? She's like, yeah, no. He kept saying over and over, be careful, there's things out there in the dark. And I got on the bus, shut the doors real quick. Made me nervous. And Evie turned around and kind of looked at me because she was wondering why I was going white. My eyes were the size of saucers. And I said, you ran into Mad Mike. She's like, excuse me, what? You met Mad Mike. And question, you didn't mention it, but did he have a dog? She's like, yeah, a little white one. Why? It's Mad Mike. Nobody knows who Mad Mike is. We think he might have been one of the homeless guys who passed away due to the elements sometime in our history. And now he roams that area looking out for ladies that happen to be by the bus stop or out there by themselves late at night, because there's bad things that wander around in the darkness. So that was the night that Evie had ran into Mad Mike on her own. Now, I'm going to try and do some compiling of stories for you guys. There's a lot of stories right up in and around the greater city of the dead, right there at the intersection. And I'll do one just on outside of the cemeteries there at the intersection of Canal and City Park Boulevard, because that is the crossroads. It's reputedly and reported here in the city that you want to talk to a crossroad demon, you want to make a deal, do it at the crossroads. That would work, because around you on all sides of that crossroad are cemeteries. And there are stories about some of our jazz musicians making deals with the devil. There's also multiple stories of people seeing weird and unearthly things right there at the intersection at the crossroads. So, we'll do a special episode on the stories of the crossroads, because we haven't talked about the phantom screams that come out of St. Patrick's number 2. We haven't talked about myself, Tosh, Charmaine, who's watching right now, Evie's personal experiences there at Gates of Prayer Cemetery, the old Jewish cemetery right up from Charity Hospital Cemetery. So there's activity all in and around that area. So we'll save that for another night here at the Demon's Tea Room. And I'll put that together for you guys. So that's just a small little taste of some of the paranormal activity that deals with phantom transportation here in the city of New Orleans. And that doesn't even go into covering phantoms on the waterway, the Devil's Daughter, the Mississippi. I have that planned for an episode coming up in the next couple of days. We're going to talk about hauntings on the Mississippi in and around here in the city of New Orleans. And not just on the water itself, but right along the shore. It's a really cool story I want to share with you guys. So, guys, that's it for today with the Demon's Tea Room. As always, we're going to post this up on YouTube if anybody wants to see it, especially now that Facebook is apparently having glitches and our live streams are disappearing, reappearing, disappearing, much like the Bermuda Triangle of Facebook. So please go on the YouTube channel, subscribe, smash the like button, hit that bell so you guys are notified when we drop a new one if you had to miss the Demon's Tea Room. Also, as my brother Kyle put up there, if you feel like and you have it in your means to donate to the Demon's Tea Room, we highly appreciate it. All of our links are located both here as well as on the YouTube channel. And other than that, update on the mixer going live stream. Batty and I are getting the last little bit of bugs knocked out of it, and we'll be starting the live stream within the next day or so. That way you guys can come in and hang out. We'll be talking ghosts while we work on leather and all of that. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So guys, as always, from me to you, much mad respect and love. Reason I didn't do updates on the hot zone here in the city, not a whole lot's changed. We're still basically where we were at. So, guys, keep your heads down, stay safe, stay healthy. Mad respect from both myself and Evie. Much love. You guys be safe out there, stay healthy. See you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you guys in the Demon's Tea Room. Not your grandmother's cup of tea.